to all the dispossessed youth of Africa, for perpetuation of communion with ancestral spirits through the fight for African freedom, and in the firm faith that the dead, the living, and the unborn will unite to build the destroyed shrines. Selah. Hello and welcome, beloveds, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are well in all your ways and that you're moving into living life truly on your own terms. Really want to thank every single person that has subscribed to the channel. We appreciate, love you so much. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, a special shout out to our Patreon family and everyone who supports this channel through PayPal as well. We appreciate, love you so much, beloveds. You know, I wanted to talk about one of the greatest lies that we have, lie traps that we have fallen into. And this whole idea of democracy and we are all the same and one man, one vote. And, it's a lie, beloveds. And I think this has been one of the greatest confusions. You see, Babylon has made us, obsessed with equality and all this stuff when equality doesn't exist. Equity, yes. But equality doesn't exist, beloveds. We are not equal. We are not the same. And the reason they've spread this lie is so that the wicked ones can hide in plain sight. The wickedly powerful can operate right in your face and you won't even recognize them because you'll think every man is the same and every man has access to the same powers or is using the same abilities. It's not. It's a rigged playing field. And that's one of the painful lessons that many African nations have learned is like people have invested so much in that idea of democracy. I mean, you'll see the crazy long lines, beloveds, in many African countries when there's a presidential election, and yet they don't know that it's literally one or less than a dozen people who are deciding that election. Many will go to a voting booth not knowing that a wizard can come and turn over that thing. Or physical wizards will hire their people to literally replace, boxes with boxes of their preferred candidate or whatever. I mean, it's a rigged system. If you see that happening physically, it's also happening spiritually. And so you are told the lie that everyone is the same, the lie of democracy, so that you don't see how you're being played like daily, beloveds, by the wicked ones. If democracy was real, then why does the enemy of our souls look for certain people, try and take out certain people? It's because there's rankings in the spiritual realm. And those rankings are extremely important, beloveds. And I was listening to someone and they were talking about how the Mzungu is the most brainwashed of us all, because he really thinks he has a higher ranking here. But everything is a lie. Even us, not all of us are the same, beloveds. And there's been so many debates about that, those who sold us to slavery, those who didn't. But it's so much deeper and more ancient than that. I remember in my grandmama's house, there were some people who would come to visit who were of such high rank spiritually that, the children would be told to scatter away and everyone would almost be in awe of this person. And my grandmama was a landowner, so it wasn't about some material wealth. It wasn't about some rich man walking through the door. It was like some elders would walk and they'd maybe walked for days to bring a message from the mountain. And the kind of reverence that would be given to this person just by them just by them showing up would be like, whoa, you came, but we don't see that anymore. And because we don't see that, many miss their blessing. Because you see, your blessings, your keys, your healing will come through people at this point. until you guys really establish that spiritual connection. For a lot of you who are still in the pit, the people who are going to initially pull you out of those pits are people like you, with their words, with their good wishes. And please watch my video on be very, very careful. And it talks about how not everyone is the same who is walking here, beloveds. So I don't want to go into that same angle. But there is someone who can speak over your life. And I mean, some of these churches get into that. But there are certain people who can speak over your life. And it changes the trajectory of your destiny, beloveds, or it throws you back on. It cancels any negative spell in your life. There are people walking with that power who just by being in your presence, things start to change. You start to heal. And so I share this, beloveds, for you to encourage you to develop your discernment, which means develop that channel to your ancestors and your spiritual team so that you can hear from them directly of who you're walking into, because this thing of democracy has hidden a lot of wicked ones among us, where we think we're all operating with these things, on this physical realm. It's hidden many magicians of the dark side in families, in communities. It's helped them to rise to high rank because now it's about democracy. It's not about your spiritual rank. It's not about the work you've done. It's not about who you've shown yourself to be. It has nothing to do. They've removed that. And that was the only way that they could bring some dark demonic entities into rulership, beloveds, and into leadership, is by creating this playing field of democracy. So then, you didn't scrutinize too closely what the people were doing behind the scenes. Because, I mean, many of us Africans know that many of our politicians, whenever there's an election season, so many juju men flood Nairobi and Kenya. It's crazy. I mean, it's not a joking thing, though. Because and then you think that, people will actually go there and think it's my ideas that will get me to that position. It's not. It's your spiritual rank or the people, the negative forces you're messing with. You can get there demonically or spiritually. You know what I mean? And so I share this to say, move with discernment, beloveds. Move with discernment, especially as people become more spiritual. The spiritualists will come out of the woodwork. Some are and you have to be able to identify and differentiate the enemies of your soul. Skull, maybe as well. To to those who have really been sent to help you. And when you recognize democracy is a lie, then you'll start to see the puppet masters who are keeping this whole thing together. And maybe, on another level, the reason I've shared this is because you need to recognize we are not all the same. Some, or should I say all, nearly all, the majority of the bloodlines of the chosen ones, of the bloodlines of the gods and goddesses, beloveds, are on the motherland, hidden away. That original master, master plan or master, what do you call it, blueprint for humanity. I mean, there's so much that has been done that shows the black woman can literally give birth to every race or something like that. The Caucasians, they have the blueprint for everyone. When you start to see these things, then maybe you'll understand why you and your community and your people have been targeted. It's because democracy is not a lie. And that's why there's been so much that's been done to push this democracy, agenda, like we're all the same. And yet at the same time, target the chosen ones. So when you're different, you're of higher rank, the group consciousness will come to you like, why do you think you're special? Why do you think you're this? Oh, you think you're better than us? You think you're better than everybody else? When you actually are. You're just of higher spiritual rank. You've done your work. You're on a different level. And you see, it creates so much mayhem here, beloveds. So start to recognize, maybe even that's what's keeping you blocked, is you still think like everyone's the same and you're the same. And maybe you're totally different. So open up your eyes even to yourself. Democracy is there to help the bad people get away with doing bad things. But you see, if we start to acknowledge that there is hierarchy, that there are spiritual ranks, beloveds, then it will be so easy to identify the rightful rulers, and they will automatically take over the rulership of this world. It will be so clear. Because you see, where we came from, you didn't become a king just because some ignorant people voted for you who didn't know what you were doing behind the scenes. It didn't happen like that. Like, that's even a fake rulership on its own. Like, people picking you because you've manipulated them. But it was all about, people took care of themselves. I was reading about how many people knew how to heal themselves this is just even recently, among the Agikoyo kingdom. It was a queendom before, it was a matriarchy, but many people knew how to, heal themselves. And there were those master healers who everyone knew of, but you knew how to take care of your basic stuff. So you only went to him when there was like serious situations. And those would usually be found to be tied into some spiritual matters that needed to be healed. But in terms of flus, common cold, stomach, the basics, the family knew. The family had the herbs, the forest, the trees to take care of that. There was a level of self-sufficiency, and that's the world we're returning to, where most people must be self-sufficient. And the masters will be there doing their thing, but they're not there to babies. They don't want to take your power like that, helping you do the things you can do for yourself, beloveds. But the main message is just start by understanding that democracy is a lie. Tuko pamoja.